Let's get right into it. Number 15. Drink your own. Yeah. Imagine it's 110 degrees, no shade, no water bottle, and you've been marching across a desert for hours. Your tongue feels like sandpaper, your brain feels like soup, and the commander tells you, well, you're carrying some reserves. Translation: start drinking your own pee. This wasn't just a joke. It was actual survival advice during wars fought in deserts. The logic was, some liquid is better than none. And sure, round one might be tolerable, but the problem is, your pee isn't just water. It's also salt, ammonia, and whatever your kidneys have been trying to get rid of. So after a couple of cycles, congratulations, you're basically running on homemade poison. Soldiers learned the hard way that the pee plan only works short term. It's like putting expired milk in your cereal because technically it's still liquid. Basically, survival turned you into a one-man water fountain, one that's slowly killing itself. Refreshing. Number 14. The rat buffet. Now picture this. You're sitting in a muddy trench in World War I. It's dark, it stinks of death, and you hear a scratching noise. No, it's not a ghost, it's a rat. Actually, hundreds of rats. The trenches were rat heaven. Endless corpses, open food supplies, and humans too tired to chase them away. These weren't cute little pet rats either. These were monster-sized trench rats, plumped up from eating dead soldiers. Some accounts said they grew as big as cats, and when food got scarce, soldiers sometimes fought back, not just to kill the rats, but to eat them. Yep, rat stew was on the menu, and while it did provide protein, it also came with a side of typhus, fleas, and trauma. So, you survive the war, go home, sit down at a nice restaurant, and have to explain to your grandchildren, no, I don't want chicken tonight. I'm still haunted by the taste of Jerry the Rat. Number 13. Gunpowder medicine. Here's a fun one. Back in the 1700s, if you got shot, soldiers sometimes sprinkled gunpowder into the wound. The logic? Gunpowder explodes outside the body, so maybe it'll explode the infection too. Science at its finest. Instead of preventing infection, it usually just gave you a second wound full of dirt and toxins. But hey, at least it looked dramatic, like seasoning your injuries with a dash of paprika. And the best part, some soldiers even mixed gunpowder with rum and drank it, claiming it made them tougher. In reality, it was just rum with extra poison. Basically, battlefield cocktails, shaken, stirred, and guaranteed to shorten your life expectancy. Number 12. The boot soup. If you've ever complained about instant ramen being gross, just know that soldiers in long sieges would have killed for it. When the food was gone, the horses were gone, and even the rats were gone. There was one last option: your boots. Yes, leather boot soup was an actual survival trick. Soldiers boiled boots, belts, and leather straps for hours to soften them up, because leather contains a little fat and protein. The result? A thin, bitter broth that tasted like sadness and old shoe polish. It kept people alive, but barely. You weren't eating a meal, you were sipping on desperation and chewing on the sole of your boot after. It was like trying to eat beef jerky that hated you. Fine dining battlefield edition. 5 stars on Yelp. A little chewy, tastes like regret. Number 11. Cigarette breakfast. So you're a World War II soldier. It's 5 a.m. You're exhausted, you've slept on rocks, and breakfast is, wait for it, a cigarette and some watery coffee. And this wasn't a one-off thing. This was practically a ritual. Cigarettes were so common in ration packs that they were basically considered food. The government literally thought nicotine was a form of nutrition. Spoiler, it wasn't. Imagine starting your day with 0 calories, 0 vitamins, but all the lung damage. Nicotine gave you a little buzz, sure, but it also made your body think it was full. which is great, until you realize you're about to sprint into battle fueled entirely by caffeine, smoke, and raw anxiety. Basically, soldiers in Y2 were running on the original version of an energy drink, coffee plus cancer. Number 10. Snow for hydration. You're freezing in some godforsaken winter battle, Napoleon's army retreating from Russia, German soldiers on the Eastern Front, you name it. You're thirsty, there's snow everywhere, so of course the first instinct is to eat snow. Logical, right? Except here as the problem. Eating snow doesn't hydrate you, it cools your body down even faster, which is exactly what you don't want when you're already freezing. It's like trying to fight off hypothermia by licking an ice cube. So yes, soldiers were literally freezing themselves from the inside out in a desperate attempt to get water. The proper trick was to melt snow first, but who had time for that when your fingers were already stiff and your friends were turning into popsicles? So the survival guide was basically, congratulations, you just made yourself into a human slushie. Number 9. The bread helmet. Sometimes in sieges, when proper helmets weren't available, soldiers stuffed loaves of bread into their hats for extra padding. Yep, bread, as in the thing you were also supposed to eat. It sounds like a joke, but it actually kind of worked. Bread could cushion light blows and maybe protect from shrapnel. Downside? You're walking around with baguette brain armor that doubles as an emergency snack. Imagine charging into battle, sword swinging, and your head protection is tomorrow's lunch. Practical? Yes. Dignified? Absolutely not. Soldiers joked that if you survived a head wound, you could celebrate by eating your helmet. Honestly, medieval multitasking at its finest, carbs and cranial defense, all in one. Number 8. Saltwater. Cure. Lost at sea with no fresh water? Some old survival manuals suggested rationing seawater. Yes, you heard that right. Drink just a little salt water, they said. It'll keep you alive longer. That's like saying, eat just a little poison, it'll help. Salt water actually dehydrates you faster, wrecks your kidneys, and makes you hallucinate like you're at a rave in hell. There are actual stories of shipwreck survivors going insane after drinking seawater, fighting each other, jumping overboard, and basically losing it completely. So yeah, salt water doesn't cure dehydration. It just cures you of the burden of being alive. Number 7. Gunshot honey. Picture this. You're on some ancient battlefield, bleeding out, and your medic comes running, not with bandages, not with medicine, but with a giant jar of honey. Yep, sticky, golden bee vomit. And weirdly enough, it actually kind of worked. Honey has antibacterial properties, so smearing it on wounds reduced infection. In fact, it worked so well that even modern doctors use medicinal honey today. But let's not pretend this was glamorous. Imagine lying in the mud, half-conscious, while your buddy turns you into a human Krispy Kreme donut. You're sticky, you're covered in flies, and if you survive, congratulations, you're basically Ant-Man's lunch. At least you die sweet. Number 6. Blood as medicine. Here's a horror story. In desperate times, medics tried using animal blood for transfusions when human supplies ran out. Sheep, cow, even goat blood. Because hey, blood's blood, right? Wrong. Very wrong. Your immune system doesn't exactly appreciate a surprise blood type from a goat. Soldiers would collapse almost instantly, veins clogging, organs failing. Basically, battlefield vampires without the cool powers, capes, or sparkly skin. The disturbing truth? Some military doctors knew it was risky but figured, well, the guy's dying anyway, why not experiment? Translation: you didn't survive the wound, but congrats, you advanced medical science by one horrifying footnote. Number 5. Urine gun cleaner. Here's one that'll ruin muskets for you forever. In the Napoleonic Wars, gunpowder residue would clog muskets, so soldiers sometimes cleaned them with urine because pee contains ammonia and ammonia dissolves gunk. So yes, soldiers were literally peeing into barrels, bottles, or directly onto weapons to keep them functional. Imagine trying to look heroic reloading your musket while your buddy ES squatting over it like a weird maintenance crew. No epic battlefield speeches, no glory, just hold still while I pee on your rifle. George Washington would be so proud. Number 4. Dog tags made of paper. Before durable dog tags were invented, some soldiers wrote their names on scraps of paper or cloth and tucked them into pockets so their bodies could be identified if they died. Sweet idea, terrible execution. Because guess what doesn't survive a war? Paper. Between sweat, rain, mud and blood, those IDs disintegrated faster than your will to live on Monday mornings, which meant tons of soldiers still ended up as anonymous corpses even though they'd tried to leave behind their details. It's like buying flood insurance, but the policy is printed on toilet paper. Number 3. The bread mold trick. Okay, here's one that sounds like a prank. Soldiers sometimes rubbed moldy bread onto wounds, thinking it might help. And the hilarious part, sometimes it actually did. That's because certain molds produce penicillin, which kills bacteria. Problem is, soldiers didn't know which mold was the good kind. So half the time, congratulations, you just invented antibiotics. The other half, you basically glued compost to your leg and gave yourself an infection that killed you faster. So yeah, it was like playing medical Russian roulette with a sandwich. Do I heal or do I rot? Let's find out. Number 2. Battle coffee hacks. Coffee. Humanity's one true addiction. Civil War soldiers loved it so much that when supplies ran out, they invented horrific substitutes. Some boiled burnt toast in water and called it coffee. Others roasted peanuts or even acorns, ground them up, and brewed that instead. One desperate regiment even boiled mud and drank it for the illusion of coffee. So imagine waking up in a freezing camp, exhausted, and being handed a cup of hot, bitter peanut dirt water. At that point, you're not fighting for your country, you're fighting for a Starbucks. Basically, war didn't kill these soldiers. Disappointing coffee did.
Number 1. Suicide missions as strategy.
Number 1. Suicide missions as strategy. And now for the darkest survival trick of all, volunteering to die. Throughout history, there were missions called forlorn hopes. You knew survival was basically zero, but if you volunteered and somehow did survive, you got glory, money, and promotions. It was the ultimate gamble. Throw yourself into near-certain death for a slim shot at recognition. Napoleon's armies used it. Civil War units used it. Even in World War II, suicide squads were a thing. So yeah, the final survival strategy was, don't survive, but maybe get famous, which is less of a trick and more of a cosmic scam. And that's the rundown on disturbing old war survival tricks. From drinking your own pee to eating your boots to cleaning your gun with urine, humanity has basically proven it'll do anything to avoid dying, except, you know, something logical. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you don't want to miss them.